The cold wind cut through the dusty air, and the scent of leather and livestock clung to every corner of the old barn. It was the kind of place where dreams were made or crushed. Inside, a crowd gathered for the auction, their voices low, their eyes sharp. And among them stood a quiet teenager named Eli, barely 17, his boots half covered in red dirt from his grandfather's ranch. Eli didn't fit in. He was soft, kind, different. Everything the rough crowd around him looked down on. His dark hair was messy, his flannel shirt worn, and his eyes darted like he expected someone to laugh at him any second, because they usually did. Up front, the auctioneer raised his hand. Next up, he called, a Mustang. Skinny, but there's potential, if you've got the guts. A horse was led into the ring, a dark bay with ribs sticking out beneath its thin coat. Its legs were weak, its eyes wide with fear. The crowd snickered. Not worth the feed, someone muttered, but Eli saw something no one else did. He felt a pull in his chest. That horse looked just like him, forgotten, overlooked, fighting to survive. Without thinking, Eli raised his hand. Silence. The auctioneer blinked. Well, I'll be damned, he said. Looks like we got a live one. Laughter rippled through the crowd. 500, Eli said, his voice steady despite the heat rising in his face. 500? You're kidding me, someone shouted. But Eli didn't back down. Sold. The auctioneer finally called. That night, Eli walked the trembling horse home, naming him Rusty. His grandfather, Harold, stood on the porch, arms crossed. You bought that thing? He asked, shaking his head. He can't even stand on his own. I don't need him to be perfect, Eli replied softly. I just need him to be okay. And so began the journey. Each day after school, Eli sat quietly in the barn with Rusty. No rushing, no demands, just patience. Slowly, Rusty stopped flinching when Eli moved. One evening, he even nudged Eli's hand with his nose. It wasn't much, but it was everything. Weeks passed. Rusty grew stronger. His coat shone, his eyes softened, and Eli changed too. He stood taller, spoke with more confidence. For the first time, he felt like he mattered, but not everyone believed in them. The local diner, the boys laughed. You think that horse is going to make it to the rodeo? One sneered. Eli clenched his fists. He didn't want to prove anything to them, but Rusty deserved a chance. So he entered the Spring Valley Rodeo. On the morning of the event, Eli's heart pounded as he and Rusty stepped onto the grounds. Riders and horses filled the arena, strong, experienced ones. But Eli focused only on Rusty. They lined up. The gate opened. Rusty stumbled at first, but then something shifted. He leapt over the first jump. The crowd gasped. Then another. And another. They didn't win. But they finished as Eli pulled Rusty to a stop. The crowd erupted into applause. He had done what no one thought possible. Later that day, a man approached, a trainer named Caleb. I've got an offer, he said. We could make this horse a champion. Eli hesitated. Fame, money, recognition, everything he'd never had. But then he looked at Rusty, the bond they'd built, the trust, the long nights in the barn, the quiet moments no one else saw. No, Eli said firmly. Rusty isn't for sale. Days later, a video of their ride went viral. People from across the country reached out. Messages poured in, stories of struggle, of hope. People said Eli and Rusty had inspired them. His story had become bigger than he ever imagined. Then came Mark, a former rodeo champion turned coach. You two have something special, he said. Let me train him. Make him a star. Again, Eli was tempted. But again, he declined. Rusty wasn't a prize. He was family. Inspired by their journey, Eli and Harold started a program, Rescue to Ride, helping kids who'd been through hardship find healing through horses. One girl, Leah, arrived angry and closed off. But after weeks working with a stubborn gelding named King, she smiled for the first time. He trusts me, she whispered, and Eli knew that was his purpose. Time passed. Seasons changed. One golden evening, Eli stood beside Rusty, looking out over the fields. You ready for this, boy? He whispered. Rusty nickered softly. Eli mounted him, and together, they rode into the sunset. Side by side, not racing, not competing, just being. Because sometimes, the one no one believes in is the one who changes everything. Moral of the story. Believing in yourself and in others can turn broken things into beautiful ones. That if you enjoyed this story, hit subscribe and leave a comment below. Let us know where you're watching from and share how this story made you feel.